Hey guys, and welcome to Nigrit. I am Cody, and in today's video we're going to go over how to make the child or baby Yoda from the Mandalorian. I've been watching the Mandalorian quite a bit and I love the baby Yoda. I think he's adorable, and I came up with this while I was doing my own version of the pattern. Obviously I've seen all the other baby Yoda patterns, so I felt like I should try to do my own version of it. I decided to use my baby Luna pattern as a template for the body, so I'm not going to be going over how to make the head or the limbs or this like main body part. This tutorial will be focusing mainly on what tools we use, how to make this little cowl, and how to make the ears to go along with baby Yoda face, and how I do its little nose embroidery. So pop on over to the baby Luna pattern and create a head and a body using that template, and then come back here and I'll show you how to make the ears and how to make the little robe cowl piece of that. However, I will say as an addendum, when you're creating your baby Luna pattern, instead of closing off your head like here, finish off at 12 stitches, because it's easier to line up the 12 stitches from your body to 12 stitches along your head right here when you're sewing, because you can literally go right above each stitch as you're sewing and go and line them up that way, and it creates a perfect seam for his little neck, and it's absolutely perfect, and I love how it turned out. Alright, so basically for this project you're going to need worsted weight yarn, which is what we call for with our baby Luna pattern, and I used a lot of different versions. As you can see, I made a bunch of baby Yodas. I made my main one, which is using Heartland, a line brand specific yarn that I like to use. It's this really pretty colorway that I really like, and it's got these undertones that I think give a nice richness to the skin. However, there is none in my local store, which is frustrating, because my AC Moore in my local area is closing, as are all AC Moores. They got bought out by Michaels, and I have a Joann's and I have a Hobby Lobby, but Joann's and Hobby Lobby are now low on yarn, or at least the Joann's is, and I don't usually use as much Hobby Lobby yarn as I use. Well, I have to now because it's what I've got in the area, but they don't have Heartland at Hobby Lobby, and at Joann's they just don't have any yarn because everybody's been going to Joann's instead of AC Moore. So I ended up buying this yarn from Joann's. It's like this tweed brand that they've got going on, and I ended up having to use different eyes for his eyes. On this one I'm using 18mm black eyes, so they're all black, and on this I'm using a 15mm black brown safety eye, and I don't like those as much. It doesn't make it quite as cute. The bigger eyes give it more of a cute factor. The bigger the eyes, the cuter the face. It's pretty much like the amigurumi rule. So I got that yarn over at Joann's, and then I got this yarn and this yarn over at Hobby Lobby. This is a cotton, and then this is an acrylic. I thought this is just a general like greenish yarn from Hobby Lobby of I love this cotton or whatever. So that's what that one is, and I thought this one, when you initially look at it, was very similar together. How they look, but this one is definitely a richer green and also a thicker yarn, I want to say, so it created a much bigger Yoda head. I want to say, like, it's just, is that just me, or is it just significantly larger? I think it's significantly larger. Alright, so you're going to need a worsted weight in both a tan and a, if I can stack any of these guys up, in both a tan yarn and a green yarn. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to do this with Red Heart Soft in this tan color, and then the Heartland, which is a worsted weight. Both are worsted weight. Whatever you do, just try to make that make sure that your yarn is similar in its weight, and by weight I mean how thick it is around. That's really the main issue. You can mix and match your brands, you just got to make sure that they kind of line up and what their sizes are. This one's a bit thicker than the Red Heart, so it creates a bigger, it doesn't match up as well. So that's pretty much what the general principle is. You're going to need some tan yarn, some green yarn. Two of these made 3 Yodas. These two in their full size, so 2 skeins, one skein of the Heartland and one skein of the Red Heart Soft. made 3 Yodas, and I'm pretty sure I could probably get a 4th one out of this one if I try really hard. You're also going to need a size D3 or a 3.25 millimeter hook. I'm using a Susan Bates. Darning needles are also a must for when you're doing the embroidery and when you're sewing in all your tails and attaching your limbs. I'm going to show you how we attach our limbs just so you can see how I go about it. And you're also going to need safety eyes. I'm using 18 millimeters for this one, but you can use really anything. If you've got only 15s or anything like that on hand, you can use those. I don't think that the brown and black together look as good. So take that as you will. If that's your preference, then that's your preference. I think that he is the one that came out the cutest, but I just don't have any more. I'd have to go on Amazon to buy the Heartland Joshua Tree, which is the colorway for this Heartland yarn. Is called Joshua Tree, and if I wanted to buy 3 skeins of it, I'd have to spend like $24 on Amazon, and I'm just not about to do that. So alright, let's get started. Alright, so this is the second time that I have done this, so if I seem like I'm rushed, I don't mean to be. I'm going to try to go as slow as I can, but I do tend to talk quickly, so I've heard the comments, I understand. I first want to show how to attach the head to the body for my Baby Yoda, and for my head, I do something a little bit different now than I did before with my Baby Luna. Before, I was closing off completely. Now, I stopped doing my decreases when I reach 12, because those 12 match up perfectly with the body's 12 here, and I'm able to actually more perfectly center my head. And the way that I attach my Luna body is I line up my stitches like so. I'm going to take my tail from my body. I always leave a nice long tail of at least 12 inches. I'm trying to make sure that this is focused. I'm going to go into the stitch that is across from where I want it lined up to be. I'm going to go in from the back of the stitch to the front. I'm going to pull up, and now my head, I'm going to try to make sure that this is pulled nice and tight. I am then going to go into, from the bottom stitch here, up and through, making sure that that is focused. So I'm going to go up and through. I'm going to continue doing that all the way around until I am all attached. So I'm going to go from this where my yarn is coming out here. I'm going to go up and through the other way. My cat really does not like that she is being kept out of this room right now. So if you hear a faint meowing, that is what is happening right now. She is very mouthy. I go again through the stitch next to it, up and through. I go again, and I do this the entire way around. And again, if you would like to see a tutorial on how to better seam your amigurumi, let me know down below. I talked about doing that in my last take of this, but you wouldn't know that because I cut that take out because it was completely blurry and it looked really terrible. And you can see how seamless this is when you do it this way. Where am I? Going up and through, there we go, and then I can go up and through each stitch. It lines up perfectly this way. I love how this looks. Up and through, and then you're going to continue going about it that way. And I'm also going to show up next on how to do the half rows that you need to do to create this seamless line. I use this method for both changing the color from green to tan on the body, and I also use this method for the arms. I'm going to show you how I do the arms, which will be a smaller way of showing how I change the colors. So if you're confused about changing colors and how to make it a seamless line, go ahead and pop over there. If you don't personally care if there's a nice little bump in your amigurumi, then you know, just continue to do what you're doing. I like the half rows method because it creates this, you can't tell where I joined as easily as you would be if I didn't do the half rows method. And I love that this time when I made this body, I actually had to go and create a second body. I had already finished my entire tutorial on how to do the Yoda, so I had to go and make another one, and that's how I know that the 2 skeins will make a 4th Yoda, because hello, here is my 4th Yoda. And So yeah, I like how this body and this head came out literally perfect. I've never created a perfect amigurumi head. I've never created an amigurumi head as perfect as this guy right here. So we're almost there. And also, one last tip when you're sewing on your head is you might want to, while you're sewing in, put a little bit of stuffing right there. I like to ball up a tiny little ball and shove it in there, and it creates a firmer, stiffer neck right there. And I also pull my yarn as I go. So let's keep going. Where was I? Here's where I was. Yikes. My needle went through that way. I'm gonna go grab another tiny piece of fluff to put in there. I'll show you what I mean. There we go. So I'm gonna take a ball of fluff and just shove it right in the center area. Have half of it go up into the head and half of it go into the body. I find that that makes a stiffer head, like so. I'm gonna keep going in. No, don't lose focus. All right, so I fixed it. Like super paranoid about it now. Keep going. I'm gonna go a little bit quicker now because my battery is dying and I want to show how to get this through its little head. And then there's this little piece here. This is the last one. I'm going to pull it nice and tight. Oh, I got a little bit of thread. Nope, it went in. Okay. We're not as worried about that. And this is the last piece right there. And so now that I've gone through there, I'm going to take my yarn, pull it nice and tight. That's all done, and we're going to take our tail and put it through the entire body, like so. And that is how I finish off the sewing for my Yoda doll. Next up, arms. Okay, so now that your body is done, I'm actually going to show you how to make the arm. The arms are super easy, and you follow the same pattern as for the Luna. But I'm going to show you how I do my color change real quick, which is actually, I figured might be helpful, because it's the same way that I do my color changes for the feet here. I do something called half rows, which I've done on a couple other videos as well, but I figured I would show it on here because, well, why not? So we're going to start out with our Heartland Green in the Joshua Tree color, and then we're going to go and change it half row style to the tan and the red heart that I'm using for the body. So we start out, down he goes. Alright, we start out, I want him to stand. He can lean. There we go, he can lean. I'm going to create a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 2, which creates a magic ring, which is how I do the magic ring method, which is not the correct way, but this is how I always start my amigurumi. And I apologize if my voice sounds kind of funny. I'm getting over a cold. It's all up in my nose. So I'm going to go from the skip the chain that I just made and go into the very first one that I created. And I'm going to place 6 single crochet inside that same chain. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and yes, the hole is huge. We're going to take our tail and we're going to pull it nice and tight. And if you ever get confused, I do actually keep a free printable PDF of this on my Ravelry, which I'll link down below. So if you are interested in that, go ahead and pop on down over that way. If you do get confused about numbers or if I go too quickly, this is just a general, hey, this is how I'm making this. This is not like a specifically step-by-step for absolute beginners, because I know that absolute beginners, while they can accomplish this, they're not likely to be able to follow this tutorial. I understand that. Most of the people that are doing this are people that are most likely able to crochet and knit for the most part. Mostly crochet, because I do mostly crochet patterns, even though my name is Knit Grit, because, you know, it just happened. Alright, so the way that I do the arm is I'm going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then I'm going to increase. I'm going to go from 6 stitches to 8. So the way that I do that is I'm going to go into this first stitch that I created. I'm going to go into there, 1, go into the next one, 2, and then on the 3rd stitch we're going to do an increase, which means we're going to go inside that same stitch twice. So 1, and then we're going to go back inside 2. And then we're going to repeat that. So 1, 2, and on the third stitch we're going to increase. They're really tight because there's only so many of these stitches on the work right now. So 1 and go back inside 2. And at this point I like to try to make sure that my work is flipped right side out because it will try to curl in on itself. So here is where I change my colors using the half rows. The way that I go about this is I'm going to go in like normal, I'm going to wrap like normal, and then instead of wrapping and pulling through again, we're going to take our tan yarn and we're going to attach it there. So I'm going to have you go there and you go there. There we go. And we're going to kind of just push with our fingers, hold the tail against the work, and we're going to wrap using that, and we're going to pull that through. And now I've got 2 yarns that I'm holding up. I'm going to go inside the next stitch, wrap with my green, and I'm going to go and pick up the tan and pick that up. And I do the same thing with the feet when I'm changing the colors. And why I do this is it makes the color transition much more seamless. Like, you're not able to see that that's where my color changed quite as easily as you would otherwise. Otherwise you get a big jagged edge, and I just like how this looks better. I'm going to go again wrap and then take the tan and wrap, go in with the green, wrap, tan, wrap, and I'm going to continue to do that for all 8 stitches. And I'll show you how I actually attach things to make sure that they stay where they're supposed to stay. And you'll notice that it tries to curl in on itself. Don't let it. Wrap with the green and then wrap with the tan. Wrap with the green and then wrap with the tan. Wrap with the green. Come on. Try not to get them tangled. Wrap with the tan. And then this last one is number 8. Wrap with the green, wrap with the tan, drop your green, and you're done with the green. And before I really tie anything or anything else like that, I like to kind of pull my tail a little bit, but then I go in and I go all 8 stitches across, and then I do 1 more on the next stitch. So 1. Don't worry about the cords. There's a lot of tails going on right now. Don't worry about that. We're just going to focus on the tan and try to ignore all of the other cords that are going on right now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to go a couple more stitches into the next round after this one, so 1, and then I'm going to do 2 just to do it. I'm going to pull my tail like this so that I don't lose my stitch, and we're going to take our tail from our tan and our working yarn, our ex-working yarn, not the tail that we had made before, and we're going to take these 2 and tie them off. Ah, little buddy. Nope. That didn't work. There we go. We're going to tie them off nice and tight, and then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut them short. This way I waste less green yarn than I would if I was just doing this later on. And now I've got very little as far as waist goes. And I like to take my crochet hook and I like to just beat the tails down into the little hand there. So I'm going to continue going around for 5 rounds. So that's how we change our color. And I'm going to go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of tan. So I've already got 1 done. I'm on my 2nd row, and I'm going to continue to go around until I get up 5 done, and then that's how I do my arm. Next up, we're going to work on the ears. Be right back. Alright, so the arms are done and sewn on, and I sewed on the arms the same way that I sewed on my neck, like that. I'm going to have him just stand there. Next up, we're going to work on the ear, which I'm going to be making 2 of. So I already made 1 so that I can show you how I fold and attach those afterwards. So we're going to work on making the 2nd one. And I'm also going to have the pattern pop up right here that you can freeze and pause and go back to in reference. You can do a screenshot and all that stuff. Or again, you can go to our Ravelry and see the PDF on there. I'm going to create a slip knot. I'm going to go 1, 2, chain, and I'm going to go back inside the very first one, same way that I always do my little magic ring. It's not quite the way that the magic ring is. I know I've been told that enough times, but it's how I do it. Darn it, so that's how I'm going to do it. So I put 1, 2, 3, and 4 single crochet inside this. I'm going to pull it tight, and then I'm going to work on my second round. This is how we make a nice pointy edge, is by having so few stitches when we start. So we're going to single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, increase. We're going to go from 4 to 6 stitches. So we're going to go 1, and then go into the next one and increase. This is going to be very difficult to start because of how many stitches, or how few stitches we have on the piece. So the stitches are going to be extra tight. So 1, and we're going to try to keep it so that it's facing the right way. When you get so few stitches, they try to like go inside out, and it's very frustrating. So we're going to go into here and go 1, 2, and now we are on our third round, in which we are going to single crochet 2, increase, and go from 6 to 8 stitches. So the same thing that we kind of went and did on our arm, so we went from 6 to 8, we're going to do the same thing on this round, go from 6 to 8. So 1, my cat had something to say about that. 2, I don't know if the camera actually picked up on that. 2, I just split that stitch. There we go. Much better looking. 2. There you go. And then increase. So 1, and then an increase. So 1, 2. I just split my yarn again. Why am I doing that? 2. It's because it's late. And then 3 and 4. All both within the same one. So the next round we're going to, this is round 4, we are going to single crochet around just all 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I keep splitting my yarn. Look, you can see it right there. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Here, I like to keep track of my rounds. Instead of just counting, I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to pull it through and use that as a way to keep track of where my start and my end begin. So next, on round 5, we're going to go single crochet, increase all the way around and go from 8 stitches to 12 stitches. So this will be my 9th stitch increased. This will be 1. This is 10 stitch. Go again, increase up to 11, and then go again and increase to 12. We are going to then take our tail and move it, and we're going to single crochet for round 6. We're going to single crochet around all 12 stitches we just made. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And move our marker. Alright, for round 7, we are going to increase every 3rd stitch. So we go 1, 2, 3, and then increase. We're going to go from 12 stitches to 16. So we're doing 4 increases. 1, 2, and then increase. 3 into the 4th. 1, 2, 3. And then increase. 1, 2, 3, and increase, and then I move my marker. At the end of every round, I'm just going to move the marker from here on out. I feel like my throat is coming back to catch me. My sickness is not as gone as I thought it was. Alright, so now we're going to just single crochet around for round 7. I'll pop the thing up as I go along. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Move marker. I just pick it up with my hook and pull through. And now we are going to crease from 16 stitches to 20 stitches. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, increase. So 2 on the same one. 1, 2, 3, increase. 1, 2, 3, increase. And then 1, 2, 3, increase. And now that you've gotten into a pattern, I'm going to increase a stitch. Now that you've gotten into a pattern and you think that the next round's going to be single crocheting around, nope, we're going to do another round of increases. So we're going to increase from 20 to 24 stitches, and that will be our last increase round. So I'm going to actually, take my marker and move it so that it is clear where I've gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6 in the same stitch here. 5, increase to 6. 1, 2. That split. 2. No. 3, 4, 5, and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and increase. And then the final, oh no, I split my yarn there. This has been splitting. I think it's because it's older. I've had this skein for quite a while, and I've always thought I should save it for something, and then Baby Yoda came along and it was perfect. So that's why we save our yarn stashes, guys. You could always need it one day. 2, 3, 4, 5, and increase. We're going to move our marker, and then the next round, which is our final round, we're going to just single crochet around all 24 stitches that we just made. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, there we go, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And now that we just went over our last stitch, we're going to slip stitch. Oh, come on, not that. There we go. Slip stitch and cut a nice decent length tail. I always like to go too long versus too short, but that's just me. I also like to take my hook and place it into the stitch that I just slip stitched into and weave my yarn in through that, because I feel like it makes it kind of neater if I pull it. Kind of pops it and makes it even. I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to, not this tail, but the first tail. It's my marker tail. I'm going to cut it so that it's just shy of the inside. I'm going to leave that alone, just in there. So for his ears, I make two, but I bend them different ways and sew them so that they are different angles. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to hold it and sew it like that, whereas I'm going to do that for this side. And on this ear, we're going to take this one and we're going to sew it the opposite way, if that makes sense. We're going to fold it the opposite side, so that, because you can't just fold this one and then do the same thing, pointing the same way and fold it like that, because then you'll just have two right ears. So you're going to take your other ear and fold it the opposite of what you want. Just do one at a time and it's not a big deal. So I'm going to sit him over here. I'm going to have that ear sit over here. I'm going to show you how I sew this on real quick. So we're going to take our tail and we are going to take our darning needle and we're going to bend our ear into the shape that we want. I try to bend it and fold it like so. See if that, I also try to make it so it's nice and lined up, which might take a couple seconds. There we go. You want it bent over, but not so bent over that it's going to fold over the entire ear. So you take your work here and you go through the two stitches diagonally from it. So you just go through both of them so that it's nice and straight. There we go. And pull through. We're then going to go through all of the stitches diagonal from that and pull through. Take all these and go through those. Kind of just sewing across. And then in these final two stitches you'll go through and now you've got a new corner to your ear. So that's how I fold it, and then I just sew it like I've done for all of them. I sew it right along the same level as the eyes, and I just do one side versus the other. Alright, I'm going to sew these on and then I'm going to show you how I do the cowl. Be right back. There we go. Alright, so the ears are now sewn on. I think that works better. So, okay. Next up, we're going to, I sewed on the ears. They're a little bit crooked, but it's okay. He's going to be all cute and have his head to the side. It's fine. I'm going to show you how I do the nose real quick, which is going to involve a nice long tail. So if you have a long tail, then you can use one of your tails. However, I find that I don't ever have a long enough tail to do this, so I have to cut off some yarn. For that, I'm going to take, it's probably about 24 inches long, honestly, this tail that I'm using. I will not need all of this, but I like to have it just in case. I'm going to take my two ends here, I'm going to make them even with each other, and pull my darning needle so that it's nice and straight. We're going to then try to find a nice center line. All I do is kind of feed it through the front of the stitch here. So I'm going to go here, roughly is centered, roughly. Hold on, we're going to try to make sure we cover those two. Yep, there it is. So now we're going to go like that, and that's roughly center. I'm going to pull my tail all the way through like so. I'm going to stop here though. I'm going to hold my tailish area here. You don't really have to, but I do. And feed my yarn back through it. Not take my tail with me. That would be lovely. And then feed it back through a different part like so. And then I'm going to take my tail and go back in and feed that through. And this is the last time, so I'm going to go through a big long part here and just make sure all of my tails are going a similar way. I'm going to then take this and cut it all. Jeez. And I try to like kind of squeeze the face so that it'll absorb it back into itself. See, I've used way too much. I just would rather use too much than have too little. It's kind of it's wasteful, but it works. So I'll find something else to do with this. I might actually save this for the next Yoda that I do, because that should be enough to get a nose done. So that is how we do the nose. It is subtle, it is cute and tiny, but I like it. Next up, we're going to make this cute little cowl. It's super easy, and it doesn't really need to be super duper organized or straight. It doesn't have to be super straight. See how there's a jagged edge this way. I am actually going to be working with a double crochet on this one. So I want to let you just chill out over here, little buddy. The little piece itself comes off, so if you want to take it off and put it on, you can just have him be little bear Yoda and all that stuff, or you can just have a cowl on him. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to put away my green yarn and pull out my tan, because this is the last piece, and then your Yoda is done. I'm going to make a slip knot. I am going to use the same hook. If you find that this is harder to do, I would go up a size, so make it with a bigger needle, and it might be a little bit easier for you to do. I am then going to, I'm not doing any kind of magic rings this time, I'm just doing 24 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Alright, so this is actually 25 stitches around, and I'll show you how I make my 25th stitch as I go along. So here we go. We're going to take our chain and make sure it's facing us this way. We're then going to take our hook and go into the very first chain that we created through the top kind of loop here. I take my tail and act as if it's a part of the chains, so I kind of do my stitches with that in mind. That's how I hide my tail. I've done this in other tutorials as well. I'm going to wrap and pull through both stitches that were just on my hook. So we've got this nice big loop, and we're going to treat this long tail. I'm actually going to make it a shorter tail so we don't have to deal with it for as long. We're going to take this tail and treat it as if it is a part of, try to keep it above the stitches, there we go, above the active yarn. And we're going to chain 1. This chain 1 is what creates the 25th stitch as you go around. So we're going to then start single crochet, or double crocheting, excuse me, in every single one of these stitches, creating 25 stitches. We're going to keep our tail as if it's a part of that. Go into our first stitch, wrap, and then wrap again, and wrap again. Wrap, all the wraps, do a double crochet inside of the next stitch, wrap, and wrap again. We're going to keep going all the way around. And I keep my tail as if it's a part of it, because I find that it hides the tail a lot easier and I don't have to deal with it later. So that's why I do that. And yes, I pull my tail as I go along so that it will, you know, not be a pain in the butt. Eek. There we go. And you just keep going around and double crochet for 3 rounds around. So you're going to do a total of 75 double crochets for this little cowl. That's for the baby Yoda. Oh good, it's still recording. And I keep pulling, and yeah, it makes it a little bit wrinkly, but it'll make it easier for down the line. Keep going. Keep going. So I'm going to pull that a little bit, and then I'm going to cut it so that it's short. And now, what I mean by wrinkly is I'm going to pull my yarn, and now the tail is completely hidden inside my work and I don't have to sew it in. It's super duper easy peasy. Super duper easy peasy. So we're going to keep going around and around, and I'm going to show you how I go over the lump when I get back to my start, and then I'm going to just finish off this cowl because it's literally just double crocheting around. Oh, and we're getting there. So, alright, we're going to keep going, and you'll notice that there's a new piece right there. It's an extra stitch that we made by doing our extra chain after we attached. We are then, so this is my last double crochet for the chains. We are now going to go inside of that first stitch there, and we're going to, it's going to be tight, so just pull through. And now we are back at our beginning, and we are going to, that's what that one just went into, and now we're going to go into the first stitch of our next round, and we're just going to double crochet all the way around it, and I'll show you how I finish off and slip stitch off and all that stuff. I do a single crochet, one single crochet in this entire thing, and it's to help kind of level and even it off. So a lot of people won't do double crochet in the round for this reason, because it's kind of loppy. I'm sure there are neater ways to do this, but I like how this looks, so we're just going to go with this cowl for him. If you guys want to come up with another cowl, that's fine, but I like how this one came out. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now I've gone around 75 stitches for this entire thing, and the way that I cap off is I go into what would be the fourth round. I'm going to single crochet one, and then I'm going to skip the next stitch and slip stitch into the next one, and it kind of makes it flatter. Alright, I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to cut off the tail, and I'm going to sew my tail in through my back of my stitches, into the back of my stitches. Well, there we go. I go forward first from the back, and then I loop it back into that way, pull it nice and tight, and then I flip my work inside out and take my tail and make sure that I am going through the back of all these stitches, and I try to go around a little bit more. And I know I'm a little bit hushed right now for this video, but there are people sleeping in my house, and I'm trying not to wake them up. So if I sound a little bit monotone like I do in my head, I'm sure I'll see it in editing, but that is why. Alright, and that is all you need for your baby Yoda. This is all done. You just put it on to his little chubby body, and you put his arms in underneath, and that's all there is to this little cowl. You try to flatten it out and make him wear it well, and then you hold him tight while you go watch The Mandalorian for the 4th time in a row. Alright, so really that is all there is to your cute little baby Yoda. I am currently swimming in a giant sea of all of the baby Yodas because I got frustrated over the yarn, how I didn't have enough yarn, and how other people might also not have the same yarn. So now I just have all of these baby Yodas, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I know that these 3 are going to a friend, but these 3 currently do not have a home, so I may or may not do a giveaway in the future. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys would like to see a giveaway, I may give away all 3 of these, so that might be a fun thing that I could do in the next video. Comment down below if that's something you would like to see. Alright, if you like this video, if you would like to see more stuff like this, let me know if you would like to see Mando from The Mandalorian as well. I might do a Luna shaped version of him as well, or any of the other characters from the Star Wars universe, throw the comments down below. Share, hit like, subscribe, do the Patreon thing. I actually just got a new patron, so again, thank you to everybody who does do that. Alright, and until next time, guys, bye!